What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about 24/7 anxiety symptoms. If you're dealing with symptoms all throughout your day, all throughout the night, and you seem like you're not getting a break at all, this video is for you. You want to watch all the way through, but you know what time it is. Smash the like button down below if you're ready to kick anxiety in the butt. Leave me a comment down there, guys. Today's question is, how long have you had your anxiety disorders? How long have you had your anxiety disorders? So I'm going to do my best to explain why you could be dealing with 24/7 anxiety symptoms, okay? But first of all, you got to make sure that you get that initial reassurance from a doctor. If you need a second or third opinion, do it. Whatever gets you to acceptance faster. Now, that's tricky. It can be gray. Once you've gotten a few opinions, you have to make a choice. Do I accept and move on, or do I continue with my testing? For me, it was problematic. I kept on going and going and going and chasing. But one of the reasons I kept on chasing and chasing was the topic of this video. I had 24/7 anxiety symptoms, and it confused the hell out of me. Why am I dealing with these symptoms when I'm having a great day? What's the deal? There has to be something wrong with me. And this was the hardest part of my anxiety journey. The point where my symptoms had now gotten to a level to where they were happening 24/7 throughout the day, no matter what I was doing. And I would wake up multiple times throughout the night. Even whenever I was asleep, I was having nightmares. I was sweating, having night sweats. So the symptoms had gotten to the point where it was nonstop. And as a health anxiety sufferer, this wreaked havoc on my thinking. I was already dealing with the catastrophizing, the spiraling, the negative thinking. But now combine that with my fear of disease and new awakened fear to death and dying and suffering, I started to really think that I was the small statistic that was constantly getting misdiagnosed. Why is my chest hurting this bad if I'm at a barbecue trying to relax? It doesn't make sense, But now, since I've suffered and I've recovered, it all makes sense. See, I was looking at everything from a conscious perspective. Our subconscious is 95% of us, so let that sink in. Once you get to a level to where your symptoms are happening nonstop, no matter what you're doing, we could argue and say that 95% of you is an extreme fear, and it's now running the show. Maybe in the beginning it was just 40, 50%, right? Maybe that's why you got some breaks here and there like I did in the beginning. But once you put off recovery or routine or strategies, you let your triggers spread like they do. In the beginning I had like 2 or 3 triggers, now I have like 35. The longer that you go on without being positive when your symptoms pop up, you keep on feeding it the fear and focus, it gets worse. Then we have something else going on. The more focus and fear we put on our symptoms, the more sensitive we become. We're feeling everything in our body, which also leads to the 24/7 symptoms. You're feeling things you didn't feel in the beginning stages of your anxiety. In the beginning, it's primarily just like chest pain, a little bit of shortness of breath, some numbness and tingling. But a few months into it, it was everything. I felt like I could feel, food going through my digestive system. I never could feel that before. I could feel my pulse and tell you what it was just from standing here without even checking. That's how sensitive I had become. So the longer that you put off those things, the longer that you put off routine, strategy, therapy, whatever it is, education, the anxiety gets worse and your subconscious fearful percentage starts to go up. And this is just my way of thinking, okay? I'm not a mental health professional. This is just my way of thinking from somebody that's recovered and my personal experience. Now instead of 50%, it's 70%, then it's 80%, and now 100% of 95% of you is now in fear. So that's why the symptoms are constant. So now whenever you're having symptoms 24/7 and you constantly respond in fear nonstop throughout the day and negativity, guess what? The tension just holds on. 95% of our symptoms, in my opinion, are caused by muscle tension alone. The tension stays. You're in a constant state of fear. Also, as time is going on, your cortisol levels and your adrenaline levels are going up in your body, especially if you have panic attacks all the time like I did. So that's not helping either. Now you're physically exhausted, and when you're physically exhausted, you're mentally exhausted, and then vice versa, okay? Mental exhaustion will lead to the physical exhaustion. The fatigue that you get from missing hours of sleep every night or not getting good quality REM sleep every night starts to add up, and guess what? That leads to more symptoms. So how do we change this from a conscious perspective? If I'm just 5% and my subconscious is 95%, what do I have to do? I have to create new habits, a new way of living, a new lifestyle, even while I deal with the symptoms 24/7. And guess what? People don't want to do that. People want the symptoms to go away, and then they'll be consistent. And that's why you are still suffering. That's why you haven't recovered. I just want to be 100% honest with you today in this video. You have to have a strategy and a routine, and you have to change your response to the symptoms, even though you're still dealing with them all throughout your day. And now you have to do that long enough, little by little, to get that fearful percentage of the subconscious we talked about to start going down. Now instead of 100% of fear, we're down to 80%. And now you're having a few moments throughout the day where you kind of forget about the anxiety or the symptoms dull out. Now we're getting it back to 50% where it was in the beginning, where, you're mainly consciously triggered, right? When you're in an uncomfortable situation or whatever trigger you have. But the two biggest things that you have to do in the beginning, guys, whenever you start this rewiring process and get the subconscious to heal, is you have to make a choice to accept. You can't just say it, you got to live by it with the routine and strategy and all of your new habits, your new way of living, your new lifestyle, getting rid of the external reassurance, the constant need for it, right? And then it's changing your response to the symptoms. So acceptance and changing your response. That's how you get the ball rolling, okay? It's by far not all of it. So many of you are doing good with tools, and you're starting to meditate, you're changing your diet, maybe you're starting an exercise routine, but you still haven't went all in on acceptance. Some of you haven't even gone to the doctor to even start to work on acceptance. And maybe you get to the point to where you have done that, but when the symptoms come up, you complain. Or you say, please stop and go away. Not right now, I'm busy, please, not right now. You are not changing your response. Or some of you are still saying, oh my God, I think I'm having a heart attack. What you're doing when you respond negatively, you're telling the subconscious that it's necessary for it to continue sending the symptom. If you want to break the cycle, you have to change your response. There's a lot of things that go into that. Challenging symptoms was super important and vital for my recovery. But once you start realizing that everything isn't just your conscious mind, that 95% of you is on a subconscious level, you'll start making the most of 5% of you every single day. Because think about it, it's going to take a long time to rewire 95% of you that's in 100% fear, which is 5% action, okay? So you have to make every day count. That's why 3 days isn't cutting it. That's why a week or two is not cutting it. And I didn't get that. I thought whenever I accepted or whenever I started a new thing, a few days were supposed to pass and my subconscious would be like, okay, I'm done with the symptoms. It doesn't work like that. So please understand that. Education is huge when it comes to anxiety recovery. Awareness is huge. You have to know what's going on in order to work it. Like when you finally understand the inner workings of anxiety, your fear level automatically starts to go down. It starts to make sense. Things start to click. You're like, aha. So that's why I'm still having symptoms throughout the day. I mean, I've gotten all my testing done. It must mean that my subconscious still doesn't trust me. Even though things are good out here, it's still scared. What do I have to do to convince it otherwise? And that's part of the routine, the self-love, getting rid of external reassurance, changing your fearful response to a proactive, positive one, And that's what you have to do to rewire. But again, there's so much that goes into recovery that kind of has to come together at the right time. It's not just changing your response. It's not just acceptance. I think so many people put so much of their recovery into just pure acceptance. There's root causes. There's a new way of living. There's routine. We didn't really talk a ton about desensitizing the body. If you don't want to feel everything going on in your body, you have to desensitize. There's things that you can be doing for that. What are you doing as far as exposure? What about all these new triggers that you experience? Because sure, we can get the subconscious to calm down, but what's going to happen when you get in a long line at Walmart? What's going to happen when you actually get a cold? Are you going to assume it's COVID, right? What's going to happen when you get into the car where you always have panic? So even whenever you improve your subconscious, your conscious mind can still set you back. So there's so many things that come together whenever you recover fully. And that's why it took me a while. But if you get my course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp, I have it all laid out step by step. That's one of the reasons I made the course, because everything is like bam, 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 bam. I do this, now I do this, now I do this. It's all about perception change. You got to view these symptoms in a different way. You got to view anxiety in a different way. And part of that course, it talks about being excited about recovery. If you're not excited about this process, if you're not excited about growth, if you're not excited about facing your fears, if you're not excited about standing up to your symptoms and say, bring it on, then why would you recover? Why would your subconscious be like, okay? A lot of anxiety recovery is coming down to overcoming your fears. And you can't run from your fears to overcome them. You can't dip and dodge them. You have to face them straight up to overcome them. Okay? So if you're avoiding anything in your recovery process, that's probably one of the things that's going to get you to recover even faster. An example in my life was the exercise. I didn't exercise for 2.5 years because I was afraid that it was going to hurt my heart because I had cardiophobia. Guess what? When I finally went out and started exercising, I was able to accept that I didn't have something wrong with my heart. Now, granted, I still suffered after that with health anxiety and stuff, but it was a lot easier since I had developed the habit of exercise, if that makes sense. So whatever you're trying to run from and avoid, go to it. That's how you recover. But please get that course down below. You're not going to find one that has that much packed into it for such an affordable price, all right? So if you made it this far in the video, first of all, thank you, but I want you to go down below, and in all caps, I want you to put, I will break the cycle. I will break the cycle. Remember, the description has tons of other resources. If you haven't checked it out, it's down below. Also put all those resources in the first pinned comment. I'm talking about TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, free Facebook groups that you can join, their communities where you can get support. I have a link for online therapy down below. If you've never tried therapy, you can do it on the phone, the laptop, the PC. Please hit the like button down below if you got value. Subscribe if you're new here. Tons of videos like this. Hit the bell so you get notified when I put these videos out. Thank you so much, guys. Until next time, keep fighting. Love you all.